Well, hello. Surprise, surprise. Okay, well, I woke up this morning at about 4:20 and an idea came to my mind and I couldn't shake it. And so that's why I'm here right now. I never did go really go back to sleep. So a few weeks ago, I was, as December was approaching, about more like a month ago, I thought, okay, so what am I going to do for during Christmas for my Sunday morning 9 o'clock devotional that I do for our church people. I do it on YouTube live every Sunday morning, and so I wanted to have a Christmas theme. Let me get rid of these. I want to have a Christmas theme, and the Christmas story. There's only in a couple of passages, and there's only so many ways you can address it. And so I'm thinking, I wonder what I'm going to do this year. I've got several Sundays, and the Lord gave me an idea, and so I did that this past Sunday, and I still have a few Sundays to go on it. And this morning I thought, well, why don't I do that for my English friends as well? And so that's what this is. And so this is a bit of an intro. I'm going to keep these hopefully short, 10, maybe max of 15 minutes if this one, since it's an intro. So the Lord loves to surprise. I've just experienced that over 30 plus years of ministry. And in my Bible, I have a list of surprises that God has brought to my life down through the years. Well over 20 years I've been making that list. And there's over 700 items in there. Some are big, some are small, some are sad ones and happy ones, but just a ton of surprises. Things that God brought to my life that were not on my schedule. They were not on my radar. I had no idea they were coming. And so what I thought of is, what about looking at the Christmas story, the events of when Jesus came and was born, through that lens, and see it through the lens of the surprises that God brought to the different people as they lived the original Christmas story without having read it ever like us. We read it all of our lives and we know what's coming, but they had no idea. So that's what I'm wanting to do. This series, I don't know, ideally, maybe it would be 5 sessions, and we could go all the way up to Christmas and end on Christmas Day, but I don't know. It might go longer than that. At any rate, that's what I want to do, is to go to the Christmas story and look at it from that perspective. Now, you probably know that there are only really 2 passages that talk or give the details of the story. The first one is in Matthew 1 and 2, and then there's Luke 1 and 2 as well. So that's where we're going to be mainly, because that's where the story happens. And this whole thing about surprises, the Bible is loaded with surprises. From Genesis all the way through any of the narrative sections, you see God just completely shocking his people with his plan. We never know what his plan is going to be exactly, and so we have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. Tomorrow may have a big surprise for you, for me. So let's go to the passage, and I hope you are going to enjoy it with me. If you have a Bible there, you can definitely tag along, on the pages of the Scripture. And I don't want it to be just interesting. I want it to be profitable, and I think we can definitely learn some lessons along the way. And I at this moment, my plan is to give one lesson about surprises at the end of every session. I don't know if it'll happen or not. It's what I'd like to do. I recorded this earlier. I didn't like the way it came out, and I had hot chocolate back then. This is just cold milk, but it's good. And some cookies Mimi is making, Christmas cookies that she's making for her English students. So I might have some of those along the way. And if you have some hot chocolate, which is what I'll have the other nights, go for it and enjoy it. Okay, so we're going to we have to start, if we're going to start chronologically, we have to go to Luke, not Matthew. Luke chapter 1. And in Luke chapter 1, we find in verse 5, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias. Now, he's going to be our guy to start with. So Zacharias is married to Elizabeth. Verse 6 says they're great people. They love the Lord. They're righteous. They're blameless. But in verse 7, they have no child. They're barren and they're old. Both of them are way past having children anymore. So that sets the scene. And then in verse 8, we find that it is Zacharias' time to go into the temple and to execute the priest's office before the Lord. So according to the custom and according to the lot, it was his turn to burn the incense, verse 9, in the temple of the Lord. So Zacharias goes into the temple. There's a whole bunch of faithful, praying people outside. And he goes into the temple in verse 11. And here comes the first surprise. By the way, you may count the surprises differently than I do. You may see more or less. But anyway, since I'm doing the study, I'll be the one to decide where the lessons are. Because sometimes they're sort of connected. And you might divide them into two or one, depending on how you look at it. Verse 11, here it comes. And there appeared unto him the angel of the Lord standing on the right side of the altar of incense. So this has never happened before. Zacharias, I don't know how many times he has done this, but maybe it was a once in a lifetime experience. I don't know. I don't remember if I ever studied it. I just don't remember anymore. But one thing I do know is never had he gone in, and when he walked in there was somebody else inside. That wasn't supposed to happen. This was completely off of the chart. And there's this man standing there. I don't know what he looked like. I'm going to guess that he was a strong-looking warrior kind of angel, maybe brilliant, but definitely an imposing, powerful figure of a man. And it shocked the daylights out of Zacharias. He's standing there on the right. When Zacharias saw him, he was troubled. That's a nice way of saying it scared the liver out of him to see a man standing there. So first surprise is the man, the angel standing there, and he says, "Fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer has been heard, and thy wife Elizabeth," here's surprise number 2, "thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son." Well, that's a surprise. They are way past bearing age. They can't have children anymore. And thou shalt call his name John. So surprise number 2 is the angel tells him that his wife is going to have a baby. Remember, this is new to him. He's never played this part. He doesn't know what the storyline is going to be. And apparently he doesn't quite believe it. So he's just saying, okay, wait a minute. This is not possible. Maybe you don't understand, but we are too old to have children. Well, we come down there, and Zacharias talks with the angel. They're talking back and forth, and in verse 20, he says, 19, he says, "I am Gabriel." And then verse 20 says, "And behold, thou shalt be dumb." Mute. In other words, he's not going to be able to talk. There's surprise number 3. You're not going to be able to talk. I'm going to shut your mouth up. I'm going to lock your tongue and not be able to speak until the day that these things shall be performed, which we assume was 9 months. And because I believe it's not my word. So, for some reason, Zacharias did not believe it, and the angel knew it. And so surprise number 3, he doesn't say a word from that moment on. Well, we come to verse 21, and we have another surprise. The people waited for Zacharias and marveled that he tarried so long in the temple. Where in the world is Zacharias? This is what he's doing doesn't take that long. It's never taken this long before. Where is he? And so the fourth surprise in this passage is that of the people who are wondering what's going on here. This could be dangerous, something. I mean, if he didn't do something right, he's in there, he's a dead man. Verse 22. When he came out, here's a fifth surprise. The people are shocked because he can't talk. He's mute, absolutely speechless. And so he beckoned unto them and remained speechless. So So the first, and I'm going to leave it at this. I don't know how long I've been, but I don't want to go too long. So we start the story of Christmas, of the original Christmas. It sort of has to start here because that's the way Luke starts it. And really, this gets us moving into the Christmas scene itself. And we're already seeing these surprises come rolling in onto the first guy, who in this case, the first person is Zacharias. And so this whole thing about surprises, God just surprises us all the time. He's continually doing that. And if you've walked with the Lord anytime, any amount of time, you will also be able to say with me, yeah, there have been days when I woke up one way, and at night that same day my life had changed because God interrupted what was going on and he had a different will. And so the surprises of life, very important, not to realize that they happen, we can see that, but to know how to handle them. And so for today, what I'd like to do is, because each session I'd like to add one lesson about surprises that we can take away, that we can learn, or at least be reminded of. And so the first one about surprises is this: life's surprises remind us that we are not in control. We are not in control. These things that happen to us, small, big, bad, as in unpleasant, pleasant, public, private, shocking, whatever, these things were not on our schedule. They were brought to us, and we are not in control of things. Man, it's so easy for us, and definitely the world, to get this idea that we can plan and we can make plans and it's going to happen that way, when life tells us it isn't. We are not in control. So that's a good thing to learn, to remember who we are, to remember what we are, to remember our place. And it is not that we are in the driver's seat, not in this sense. And so that's the first lesson, that the surprises of life remind us that we are not in charge. Okay, well, I'm going to have a cookie and drink the rest of my milk, and I hope to be back tomorrow with another session, and we're going to keep on. It gets really, really interesting, and there are a lot of surprises ahead for various different people. So we'll continue this series, Lord willing, and see you maybe tomorrow. God bless you. Goodbye.